Well, hello everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Content Creators University. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We're back again at it. I know. We were not live last week. Your boy JP was out of town. Had a speaking engagement. We're in Atlanta, Georgia. It was a phenomenal experience. More to come in the upcoming episodes of this show. But hey, folks, we are back, and as you guys know how we do it, right? Every single time we come here, we have an amazing guest, and we call them, right? We call them professors because they come here to teach us things that you and I we need to know in order to elevate our value proposition, grow our business behind the content that we're creating, right? We're all professional content creators, and we want to take it to a higher level. And one of the things that we need to consider, you guys know, technology is always growing. And our motto here is create, impact, and innovate with a philosophy of constant growth, right? You want to always grow. And my saying is the day you stop learning, you stop growing. So we want to keep learning, keep growing, keep elevating the things we're doing so that we can be always relevant, right? We guys know that is what this platform is all about. And if you're a content creator, understanding the creator economy, these are the type of things that we need to understand and be rooted in, right? Because if you're not, you might be the smartest person in the room in 2020, but in 2021 or 22 or 29, you will not be, right? So that is why we are here. For the folks that are joining us for the very first time, my name is Hightek. Like I said, I am a global branding expert. What I do is help companies, small businesses, and entities, right, do three things: establish, build, and embrace their, trademark identity. And I am also the CEO and founder of a company, media agency called Perfect Zone Productions. And we do that by leveraging, graphic design, photography, videography, web design, right, in order to help you build that premium brand. And the focus here is to allow you to attract, those premium clientele so that you can elevate and charge more for your, services and products that you have. So that is what we do. And if you're new and you appreciate what we do here, I want to go ahead and ask you to go ahead and smack the subscribe button, right? Like this video if you appreciate the conversation that we're having today. Activate the bell icon while you're at it, and stick around for more videos just like this. Now, one thing that we do here every single week is that we take the time to go over the news, right? We have some news to discuss here. So I want you to stay where you are, and let's go ahead and talk about what's happening in the Content Creators University, and we'll be right back right after this. Don't go anywhere. Stay with me.
JP, like your production is amazing. I love your show. And I'm just so happy that we're finally able to make this happen and be on your show. And like, I wish you the very, very best, man. All the best. You're gonna have an amazing 2022.
I am impressed. Having a little bit of envy with your production. So well put together. And I love the value that you're delivering, the questions that you focus on. And I know that you are just trying to get amazing content out to people who are trying to improve and learn and grow every single day.
I am beyond words, man. The level of professionalism here, it's high, bro. It's high. And the good thing is that this is something that you have near to your heart. I can tell that you're very passionate of what you do. I can tell that you take this very serious, and I love it, man, because it reflects in your professionalism outside. So what people see, it's you, man. It's the real you. It's the passion that you have. It's the poise. It's definitely something to admire. So.
All right, family, let's go ahead and talk about the news. So the first thing, if you didn't know, folks, we have this show, Content Creators University, available syndicated on multiple platforms. But I want to go on and let you guys know the application of JP Hightek is currently available for you to download. Go ahead, go to your Apple App Store and look for JP Hightek TV today, right? Go ahead and download the application. You can also download this on your Roku TV application. Again, the same name is right there, JP Hightek TV, or your Fire TV, right? Connect with us, download it. Let's build this community so that you can have access to all the podcasts, all the latest behind the scenes videos, and more bonus stuff on the application. Go ahead and check it out, folks. And whenever you do so, I want to ask you to go ahead and leave a review. Let us know what you think about the platform, right? Something else as well that I wanted to let those that didn't know is that we are also available across any major audio podcast platform. If you're watching the video on YouTube or on your television, well, guess what? You can listen to us on your Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Audible, Google Podcasts, you name it, folks. We are there. Simply search for Content Creators University with JP Hightek and listen to the show. New episode dropped every single week, family. So go ahead and check it out. Leave us a review, family. Let us know if any of these conversations are doing anything for you, helping you out. And if you want more information, just go to the website, contentcreatorsuniversity.com, right? Join the community. I will love to see you there. I know I did mention earlier that the application is also available on Roku TV and Fire TV. I do get this question a lot. JP, what solution are you using? Well, guess what? This platform is also sponsor supported, right? So it's sponsor supported and listener supported. So we do have as one of our sponsors the solution that I'm using, which is called RTN Streams, right? And if you're listening to the podcast, the website is rtnstreams.com. Go there, and that is what I'm using, right? If you know how to use YouTube as a content creator, then you know how to use this platform. It is allowing me to, simultaneously live stream on my Roku TV application, my Fire TV application, my website, and across a whole lot of other platforms. Shout out to you guys that are welcoming my show in your living room every single week. So again, rtnstreams.com is a platform for you to use. Now, folks, for the folks that want to work with me, simple, folks. Just go to my website. That is jphightek.com, and you can go to the booking section of it. Just click on the booking. Go ahead and book a free 30-minute consultation. If you're looking to elevate your live stream, looking to elevate your presence or the things that you're doing, guess what? I would love to help you. I would love to connect with you and see how me and my team can help you build that premium brand. Okay. So now we're about to go ahead and bring our guest onto the stage here. And like I'm saying, today we have an amazing, amazing guest. Without further ado, let's go ahead and bring him over here. What's going on, Jared? Thank you and welcome to the show. How you doing today?
What's up, JP, man? Thanks for having me on.
My pleasure. My pleasure. First of all, I want to go ahead and thank you, right? Thank you for taking the time to, accept our invitation and coming over here earlier backstage. You were telling me how busy of a day you had, and being a family man, I feel for you. So, but regardless, you're still here. We say that our guests are professors, so you're going to be our professor today. But first thing first, for the folks that are like, hey, man, JP is excited about these guests. Who is he? Give us a minute, share about you to the folks that don't know you, and so that they can learn to know you a little more.
Yeah, so as JP mentioned, my name's Jared. I'm a content creator. First and foremost, a podcaster. Like I consider myself a podcaster over a YouTuber, even though I do make YouTube videos. And I always struggle with the consistency of that. But the podcast, for some odd reason, man, I found my groove with the podcast, and I've never done anything so consistent in my life. The podcast rock and roll in 85 episodes deep, 2 years in, which is fantastic. Yeah. It's been
Congratulations.
Great.
That's major.
Thanks, man. Yeah. 2 years this month, maybe like in a week or so. So that's huge. I also run my own creative agency here in San Diego doing photos and videos for clients. That kind of wraps it up.
Nice. And just showing, the Hive, we'll talk about that in a little bit. Well, that is fantastic. Thank you for short and sweet, straight to the point. Well, one thing that we do here, Jared, is we always want to discover a little more about our guests. So I got some questions, fun questions before we dive into the conversation today for you. So the first thing I have to ask you is, if you were a superhero, who will that be? And why?
Yeah, That was a great question. No one's ever asked me that. And I was trying to think about it. Like, there's so many great ones now, like ones that you'd never even heard of before because we have, all these Marvel series on Disney Plus and
Right.
everything. But if I had to choose one, I grew up a big Spider-Man fan. Like, I was a big Spider-Man fan growing up. And so I'd probably have to pick that just because I'm a fan of Spider-Man. And that's like Saturday morning cartoons. I just remember watching that. He's got the fun gadgets, like the one I grew up watching, like the webs, he came up with like a device, right, to do the webs that like didn't come out of him. So he's smart and he's got superpowers. So that's kind of cool.
Hey, you can't beat that, man. He looks good. He's smart.
And it looks fun, like swinging from buildings. That just looks fun. Like, come on.
He does, man. He does. Real talk. Appreciate that. So the next question I have for you is, okay, if you were to meet your 15-year-old self, what would be that one advice that you would give him and why?
Be consistent. Like, I would say, like, consistency, growing up as a kid, that's hard to find. Like, you get so easily distracted. I would tell myself to like stick with doing stuff with cameras instead of like getting sidetracked. Like, had I stuck with it from, a young age, oh man, like my business would have started sooner. I'd be further along in my business journey and everything. Like, once you find your groove, you wish you could go back and like tell your younger self, like, do this and stick with it and don't give up and don't get distracted. So that's what I'd probably tell myself is, stick with that camera stuff.
Hey, I've seen some of your work. Folks, he's good with that camera. We'll talk more in a little bit, man. Okay, cool. Now, the last question in the fun, series of questions that we have for you is, okay, talking about careers, right? I know you're doing those amazing things today, but, we always have that other career that we thought of, right, in our life. What will be the other career that in another life you will have chosen to do? And why is that?
Oh man, like that's such a good question. I think like had I to choose a different career to follow something I was really passionate about, would have been like a writer. I always enjoyed writing growing up, and I always took like additional classes into short stories and stuff like that. So I would have been a writer, but I love traveling too. So I would have like maybe been like a travel writer and like mesh those two passions together. Would have been fantastic if I could have done that.
I know, right? That would be nice. Now let's go ahead and give a shout out to the folks that are joining us. Folks, if you're here, go ahead and put in the comment section below. Give a shout out to you, First Lady Cree. Thanks for joining us down in the comment section, folks. Thanks so much. Don Howard, hello to you. We are happy to have you guys with us. Look at that. We have Getting Things Done with us down there. And look, we were just talking about him backstage, the legend, James Hicks, right?
Mr. Hicks, what's up, man?
Yes, sir. How you doing? And look, he said he loves seeing those two online, man. We appreciate that. We appreciate too as well. And yeah, he is rocking indeed. The Black Magic action. Shout out to Jared. Okay, Jared. So let's lay foundation, right? You mentioned that you are a podcaster, and even though you, based on your busy schedule, you find yourself not that consistent, which is what we're talking about today on YouTube, but going on 2 years and some change, you mentioned that you've been doing podcasting, right? So first thing, let me ask you, why is it that you find yourself, what would you say that, is the reason why you find yourself being so consistent producing podcasts?
Yeah, I think, the honest answer is it's just easier for me. Like, producing a podcast is just easier than doing video work. Video work, like, it could be a 4-minute video, but it takes forever to make. Not only like having to reshoot stuff, maybe you're not like on par when you're filming it, grading it. Like, there's just a lot of work that goes into video. Whereas the podcast, like, it's still time consuming, but it's just easier for me because I'm just getting like this. I'm just getting online and having a conversation with somebody that's coming on the show. And there's not a whole lot of editing to that. Like, this is real world conversations, and whatever happens for the most part. I do very little editing to the podcast other than maybe tightening up the audio version a little bit, so we don't get that delay you experience, that we do when we're, talking online, tighten up the audio a little bit, and then a little bit of like EQ and compressing just to make sure the voices really stand out and they sound good. And I've just found my groove, and I think I just have a passion for it. I just have a passion of having conversations with people. And I think it's easy to be consistent with something that you're passionate about.
Fantastic. Yeah, that's true. That's true. Once you're passionate about it, it's easy to just be lost in it and just dive in deep. But, at the same, and there's a reason why I've asked that, right? Because at the same time, some people will tell you, well, look, Jared, it's hard for me to do my podcast. Right. I mean, it's hard for me to even find ideas, things to talk about, or things to keep pushing content out. And here you are, man. You've been doing this for several years, a couple of years already, going, more than 2 years now. I mean, how are you doing it? Where are you finding the inspiration? Where are you finding the ideas? How are you doing it? And you keep pushing content out for the podcast.
Yeah, it just goes back to, like I said, having a passion for it. When you're passionate about something, it becomes a priority. And I've been fortunate enough to have so many guests on the show that have, allowed, freed up their time to come on the show. And it some of that is just scheduling. Like, you gotta just treat it almost, I don't want to say like a business, but you gotta have a plan. You gotta be organized to be able to be successful in something. At least I believe you can't always fly by the seat of your pants, even though sometimes you have to, but it's good to have a plan in place. And, I have a good scheduling app. I send out links similar to what you're using, to schedule this show, and just reaching out to people. I have set dates or set days a week I try to record the podcast. Though I will work with somebody's schedule, of course, like I'm not going to pigeonhole them into my time because they're donating their time to my show and what I'm creating. So I try to narrow it down, but if that doesn't work, hey, I'll free up a time. So yeah, you got to have a plan in place. You got to have, systems in place to be successful. So for me, it's having a schedule. It's having my editing workflow down, with the podcast, with my setup, like, my voice doesn't change from episode to episode, right? So like, right. I have my presets saved for my EQ, my compression, my limiter. I have a pretty generic one I can throw on a guest audio and just minor tweaks. So it's all about having systems in place. So that's really helped me. Like, you gotta have systems in place, but you don't know what those are until you get started and you get going into it. So it's hard to tell people you need to do this and you need to do that, because even though we're going through the same stuff, what we need might be different. So having a system in place and having those presets and the schedule has helped me be consistent for sure.
Wow, that's good. I hope you guys are listening, because he said something powerful right there. He said, you don't truly know exactly to the T what you need until you get started, right? So you have to get started in order to be able to realize, oh, for you need to drill it down this area. You might need this, and this is what works best for you, even though it might be similar software, similar, hardware and stuff that we're using, but we all use it in a unique way that works best for us, right? So that's pretty cool. Now, you did mention a word there, which is the topic of what we're talking about today, consistency, right? Why is it, in your opinion, why is it that consistency is important as a content creator? What is the advantage? What will that do for you?
Yeah, I mean, not to mention, the more consistent you are, you're going to grow your reach and your audience. I mean, that's kind of, I think, a given in the content creation. But what it does for you is it makes things easier. Like, getting started is difficult in itself, but the more consistent you are, the easier and the smoother that content creation gets for you, because it becomes muscle memory. Not only that, but then the content you create gets better. So consistency, like that one word, it just has such a huge impact. Like, it grows your reach, it grows your audience, it makes things easier on you because it becomes muscle memory, and it makes your content better. There's just so many advantages to being consistent, but that is hard to do. It's not easy, right?
Right. Yeah, it's definitely not easy. It takes commitment it takes. It's just like you're going to work, right? If you have a 9 to 5, regardless, you got to be there unless something major happens. Is that same level of dedication that needs to be put in the things that you do in order to be consistent, right? And I love what you're saying, because a lot of times, usually when we mention consistency, we're looking at, it helps you grow, it helps you build a certain rapport with your community, the people that are following you, that they're expecting you to show up, right, at certain times, and they're building their lives surrounding that, expecting all that to connect with you. But I love what you said. It helps you develop and put system in place, and makes, the more you're doing it, the easier it becomes. That's so true, right? The more you're using it, the better you will be at it, and the easier, you don't even think about it, and the muscle memory is there. You can start doing certain things in your sleep, and somebody will be like, how is it that you can do it so easily? It's not easy. It just looks easy because you've done it so many times, and now you're a pro at doing it, right? Which is something that is phenomenal. Now, a lot of folks today are throwing themselves at podcasting, or creating content, in a world, quote unquote, post COVID, and they're believing that is the new way. That's the way to grow your business. Let me ask you, even though you have passion for it, are you using this podcasting at all to help grow your business? If yes, why did you choose this avenue, and why not another one?
Yeah, I don't really touch too much on like the business aspect of like promoting my services or what I do in the podcast. The podcast is just about sharing other people's stories, so those content creators that are struggling to get started, or just maybe they're just, who knows what they're struggling with, just hearing someone else's story. We all go through life uniquely and face different challenges, but they're also somewhat the same as well. So hearing similar stories of difficulties, or how people overcame a situation, or how they grew their channel, or whatever it is they're creating, just like hopefully that escape for that 30 minutes that you're listening to the show kind of helps you refocus on what you're doing, and helps you get motivated to go out there. So no, I don't really focus on like promoting myself and my business in the podcast. It's all about, it's there to help others, and not necessarily myself, though I've benefited a lot from the podcast by learning, different audio techniques, getting to know so many amazing creatives, and being able to text them and call them, like getting advice on different things. Like it's fantastic as a creator, because we live in our own little bubble wherever we're at, and there's not people locally usually. So to be able to reach out to them, like, hey man, like, what are you using for contracts, for content creation or for client work, like being able to have resources like that. So I definitely have benefited from the show. But I think also, if a client were to stumble upon my podcast, it's nothing I really promote to my clients, because sometimes it's a space to vent about client work. But if they found out about it, at least they could say, oh, like, okay, this guy, like, he makes stuff for himself, and for like, he knows what he's talking about. He knows what he's doing. So it is part of the overall brand and who I am and what I can do and offer a client. It definitely would be a portfolio piece to be like, yeah, like, you want to do a podcast? I can do that. Like, I've been doing one for 2 years, longer than most people like do anything. So yeah, I can do that. But overall, no, I don't promote my business. It's the podcast is simply there to motivate and help others.
Absolutely. So the direct offering is just to empower other creators, help other people grow and stuff like that. But indirectly, because you're in this creative economy and you're a creator yourself, well, in the professional field, it's easy to use as a portfolio to show, hey, I mean, I've been doing it for a long time. Yeah, this is the type of quality you can expect from me, looking at my own work. So that's great, because you can be a business owner.
There's no reason you can't use your own work, right? As a portfolio piece. You don't have to necessarily, like, people always say, oh, you got to do free work to start out. Why don't you create for yourself? Do some stuff like that you want to create for other clients for you, and use that as a portfolio piece, So
cool.
Anyway,
that's good. No, you're good, because that's literally what I was about to say, right? Because that's where a lot of creators suffer. And you just named it right there, because we're always looking for, okay, I got to now offer free work or all those type of things. But if you're a creator yourself, if you're creating those things already, that is a portfolio, because ultimately the client is just looking for the know-how. Prove to me that you know what you're talking about. And the best way to prove to them is by showing what you're already doing every day, every week and all that, and them checking it out and say, oh, okay, right? Now let's flip this and talk about some fun stuff, because that's one thing that we love talking about here is gear, right? Gear. We know you have a lot of awesome gear. You're a tech nerd just like me. So let's talk about your studio.
Never enough gear.
I know, right? We're always spending that money. But I know somebody will be looking at you and be like, man, Jared looks good, sounds good. If you're not watching the video, if you listen to podcasts, you want to hop on YouTube and check it out. JP Hightek Reviews. He looks good, sounds good, and he's live.
I would look a lot
it.
better if my internet was faster too.
I know. I know. Well, let us know, right? Let's start with your audio. Let's talk about your microphone. What are you using, and what mixer do you have paired with that?
Yeah. So the microphone, the legendary SM7B, of course, is just like, you just can't go wrong. Like, it's definitely not a microphone you want to. Well, if you have money to spend and it's you don't know what to get this. Like, you'll sound great. Everybody sounds great on the Shure SM7B. It's a fantastic microphone, but it is expensive, and there's plenty of other options out there. I started the podcast with the Pod mic, $99, fantastic microphone. But I've since upgraded to the Shure SM7B because when you're a podcaster and you get serious about podcasting, it's like this is like, this is the microphone. And then you need a preamp, an inline preamp or some sort of preamp to boost the signal. So I'm using the Coda Stealth. They sent this to me. Before I was using, I think I have it here. I was using this right here. This is the SE Dynamite. It's really cool. It looks like a little shotgun shell or a little dynamite stick. This is another great one, super affordable. But it's red, and I like the darker color, so I'm using the Coda right now because it kind of blends in. The boom arm I'm using is the blue Compass arm. There's tons of good boom arms. Just don't go cheap. I mean, they're still relatively inexpensive. You can get a good boom arm for $99. I like this one just because it hides the cable really well. And then everything's feeding into, of course, the Rodecaster. Like, if you're a podcaster, if you don't have a Rodecaster, what are you doing?
Yo, join the Rodecaster family, man. That's legendary. Yes, sir.
Right.
That's dope. That's dope.
So many possibilities with that tool. It's just one of the best tools I've ever bought. It's just so good.
Honestly, thank you so much. And I know we got to talk about, before we talk about camera, right? We got to talk about what's behind Jared, right? Because I mean, a lot of times we don't see the camera. We just see what the camera shows us, and then we see what's behind the host. What's, your studio, right? There's a light, a tube light right there. That's so cool. And then we see
two. So there's like, here's where do I turn? There's
we go.
One right. Oh, I can't point. Right there. Or two. Anyway, there you go.
Right. Yeah. What tube lights are those?
So those are those are a little bit older. They're than original Nanlite Pavo tubes, which are still fantastic. They're RGB. You can change them to whatever color you like. I used to kind of have this like dark, black and orange kind of vibe going in the studio. I've since kind of revamped and kind of just going for that kind of like, just plain easy tones, dark and green tones with a little bit of like that tungsten lighting, a little bit color vibe. So yeah, tube lights, fantastic. So many uses for them.
Yeah, because you can change the colors and change the mood anytime. What about your wall, right? Is your wall matte black, or what color is it?
No, so this is a great topic for anybody. Like, if you're thinking about painting your wall, I highly recommend painting it gray. Like, these walls are gray. The great thing about gray is they absorb so much color and light. They kind of reflect whatever color you're putting on them. So right now they kind of look like they got this little like greenish tint, and that's just because of the time of day and the way this office is facing. Like the light, it's going west, like the light's coming right in, but it's also shining. There's a big like bushy tree right out there, so you're getting a lot of that green kind of reflection from the plant coming in here and spilling in here, and getting a little bit of that reflection. Like if you're gonna paint an office, I highly recommend gray because it absorbs whatever color you put on it. So if you want your wall to be purple, just shine a purple light on it. It's just so many options.
Wow, that's awesome. Great tip, man. We appreciate that. Yeah. And of course, we are gonna close it
Matt,
with
you don't do glossy. Don't do glossy.
that's why I mentioned Matt earlier, because once you do glossy, and of course we know that because we're in the photography, videography field, we know that. Yeah, glossy definitely not. It's gonna reflect everything back to you, and yeah, it's gonna be shiny. That's not cool. What about camera setup, right? What camera and lens are you using, and what are you using to connect that to your computer? And finally, which computer are you using?
Yeah. So I use for all my video stuff, I use Blackmagic 6Ks. So this is a Blackmagic 6K behind a teleprompter with a monitor, which is hooked up to the computer, which is the newer MacBook Pro M1 Max. Yeah.
Yes.
Anyway, so just mirroring screen to the monitor on the teleprompter, so I can just look straight at you, even though I still tend to look at the screen sometimes. And then that's just feeding into the computer using Elgato Camlink 4K.
Oh, fantastic!
I was using an ATEM Mini for a while, but I think my ATEM Mini went bad. I was having some issues with it, and the ATEM only streams in 1080, so you should be able to get a 4K signal going in with Elgato. Though it's just, I find when I record, the image looks super, super sharp right now. Like I feel like it's not as sharp as it should be, and that's strictly when I stream, and I think that has to do with the horrible internet that Cox provides to my house.
Yo, man, I think Cox is in trouble now. Like, yo, you guys are not giving me what I need. And what I was trying to do.
Like my download speeds are fantastic, but my upload speeds, they're just horrendous.
Well, folks, I was looking for some images for his behind the scenes while he was speaking. And if you're watching the YouTube video, you can see exactly what he's mentioning from his video. And you can watch the video on his channel, right? And go ahead and check it out. He has a full, complete video on there. Let him know.
I've since redesigned my office setup to be a little bit more functional for me, but none of the gears changed. All the gear is the same. Just kind of the way I have it set up is different, but all the gear is the same.
So the positioning of everything that you talked about in this video,
as you can tell, the positioning of everything, but all the gear is essentially the same, just moved in a different spot.
Oh, fantastic. Well, at least we know that he stays true to everything he's talking about. And of course, the mic change, right? You mentioned the mic. During this video, I saw the pod mic, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yeah, there's one right there. Like, and I still have the pod mic on the desk right here. It's still here, as a backup if you need it.
Oh, nice. All right. This is fun stuff, folks. We can geek over this for hours because this is what we love.
Yeah, super long time.
Absolutely. But we have come to the end of this show. We can't let you go without telling the folks how can they connect with you. What are the places and spaces you spend your time, and the best places for them to, continue the conversation, follow you, and those amazing stuff. Let us know.
Yeah, I would say the best places would be Instagram or Twitter. And it would just be, I would just follow my name, Jared Spink, on Twitter. Or you can go to there is the podcast Instagram, which is all little snippets from the podcast, which is the Hive_podcast. So you can go there. But if you want to connect with me, the best place would probably be Jared Spink definitely on Twitter. Twitter is where it's at, people.
Absolutely. Of course, for the folks that want to listen to the podcast, they can go to hivepodcast.org for every episode. Just let them know, how often do you release a new episode on your podcast?
So Typically every Monday. So you wake up, there'll be an episode there every Monday. Though, occasionally, like I mentioned, consistency is important, but don't fall in the trap of not taking a break when you need one just because you feel like you got to be consistent. It's okay to take a break, folks. So typically every Monday.
Every Monday, new episode of The Hive, folks. Let's go ahead and download it, support, listen, subscribe to his YouTube channel, Jared Spink. Fantastic things happening there. Amazing creator. Jerry, I want to thank you for taking the time and coming to the episode today. Go ahead and wait backstage as I close real quick. We'll be right back with you. Hopefully we connect with you another time on the platform. All right, family, this is it. We're going to wrap it up today for this episode of the Content Creators University. This was fantastic. If you appreciated it, you know what to do. Go ahead and like and share with a friend or family member. If you've learned anything, let us know in the comment section below. We'll see you again next week for another video. You be safe, like I always say. Shalom. Bye-bye, family.